Hello and welcome to another supercalifragilisticexpialidocious edition of CU Sports Mag. And even though the sound of it is really quite atrocious, I'll tell you what isn't atrocious. My wonderful co-anchor joining me on the desk today is Aaron Sullivan.
Well, thank you, Steve. And you won't need a spoonful of sugar to make this episode go down. We have a packed show here today. We're talking soccer, golf, volleyball, but first, let's talk about some football. Last Saturday, the Arizona Sun Devils came to Boulder for CU's homecoming game. As is tradition, all alumni were welcomed back with open arms. The Buffs put points on the board first with a 16-yard touchdown run courtesy of Kyle Evans. Back from his injury, quarterback Sefo Liufau ran in a touchdown on his own in the second quarter. But the most impressive score of the night was a 75-yard breakaway dash from Phillip Lindsay to start off the third quarter. He punched in another 4 yards in the fourth quarter to seal the victory.
The Buffalo's offense has been rolling as of late, with this game was no exception. The team put up 580 total yards of offense. 580 total yards. Phillip Lindsay racked up 219 of those yards by himself. For comparison, Arizona State had 119 total yards of offense. That's right, one of our running backs put up more yards than ASU's entire offense. The final score was Colorado 40, ASU 16. This is the first time the Buffs have ever beaten the Sun Devils, and this was a huge Pac-12 win. The victory against ASU was awesome, no doubt, but Coach Mack didn't want the team to revel in the glory of their win for too long. Colorado's next matchup is against the perennial contender Stanford Cardinal, and on the road no less. Earlier this week, Mack spoke about how the team is preparing for the tough loss that lies ahead.
And so we're going to have to get ourselves ready to go there and play, and they're an excellent football team. You know, they've been a powerhouse. You know, when you look at it, we played Arizona State, which has been a powerhouse in the South, and now we're going to go play the powerhouse in the North back to back. So it's going to be a tough deal for us. I know our kids will be excited about going there to play. We have a lot of kids from Northern California, and so they'll be excited about going back home to play. And we'll be ready to go, and I know they will be too.
With the Buffs' win against ASU last Saturday, CU is tied with Utah in the Pac-12 South Colorado. Colorado's current record is 3-1 in Pac-12 play and 5-2 overall. The return of senior quarterback Sefo Liufau was met with a standing ovation from the 48,000 fans at Folsom last Saturday. The Buffs looked as strong as ever, and as they continued to show the nation that the rise is real. As we cross the halfway point in the season, Coach Mack and company have their sights set on the Pac-12 championship.
Phillip Lindsay has been a standout this season for the Colorado offense and has allowed the Buffs to establish a run game, especially with injuries at the quarterback position. Last week, Lindsay blew up on the scene with a monster game, tallying a career-high 219 yards on the ground on 26 carries with 3 scores, leading the Buffs to that big win over Arizona State. Lindsay's outstanding performance earned him the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, and after the game, he brought the entire offensive line into the presser with him to show how important they were to the success that he saw on the field.
Y'all run, but I'm more excited that we're able to move the ball as a team efficiency. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the team. So as long as I'm helping out with the team, that's all that matters.
The Buffs have a tough test this weekend, but these are the 3 keys to the game versus Stanford they need to get the win. The first key is to contain Christian McCaffrey. The Heisman hopeful has not had the season that measures up to his runner-up Heisman campaign last year, but his talent is still there. We know that he can be lethal on all fronts. Obviously, he can run the ball, and he can make receiving plays in the backfield. The all-purpose yard beast, who is actually from Colorado, stands as the Cardinals' lone threat on the offense. But the Buffs' game plan on defense is sure to be to center around him and shut him down by stacking the box and forcing the Cardinals' QB, Ryan Burns, to air it out.
The second key is to mix it up on offense. The Cardinal, in the same way the Buffs plan to shut down Christian McCaffrey, are going to look to shut down Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, Phillip Lindsay. Also, Sefo Liufau seemed good to go in his first game back off of his injury. Meanwhile, the Buffs have been mixing it up with the newfound workhorse in Lindsay. If they keep it up, they should be able to come out on top in this big Pac-12 matchup. And the last key of the game is to improve special teams play. The Buffs have struggled as of late with a missed field goal and a muffed punt. The Buffs need to make the easy plays and convert field goals when they can. Jay McIntyre was recently diagnosed with a concussion, so let's see if he can suit up for this brawl against Stanford. Another special teams note is the punt and kickoff coverage. While McCaffrey has not shown the same explosiveness on special teams as he did last year, he can still be a force in the return game and will probably be a close game. So the Buffs can't afford to let McCaffrey make those big plays, especially on special teams. Now here at Sports Mag, we obviously keep a close eye on the football team. Most of us go to the home games, we watch highlights, we keep our eyes on all the facts and figures. But what we wanted to find out is how dialed in the students are. Mitchell Sanchez hit campus to find some answers in this week's edition of Man on the Street.
Hey, this is Mitchell Sanchez, and welcome to this week's edition of Man on the Street for CU Sports Mag. Which games have you been to this season?
In person, I've only been to the Rocky Mountain Showdown, but I've watched a couple others on TV.
I've been to all the home games.
I've actually been to all of the games this season, all the home games anyways.
Just the homecoming game last weekend.
I've been able to make it to all the home games, and he's pretty much come to all of them with me except for one.
Why do you think we're winning by such a large margin at home?
I think it's just the crowd and the energy at home, and we have actually like a pretty good team, so the CU student body's starting to gather behind the team more.
There was some defensive plays we were able to make just because the crowd noise was able to help. So
I just think our program's getting better.
I'm not sure. That's the reason I wanted to go, is because we've been winning so much.
New stadium, kind of new extension onto the stadium and stuff. It's probably motivating the players a little bit to kind of show up at their house. So
I've been waiting for this for like 4 or 5 years now, so it's kind of cool to see that we're finally being able to defend our home field and beat teams when they come here.
Did you know anything about ASU going into the game?
I knew that they were 5-1, and before we lost to USC, we were ranked, and they took our ranking.
I thought they had a decent football team, but I didn't think they were one of the best.
I knew that they were kind of decent, and they had this running back kid that we played in high school who we beat before, so I was trying to trash him again.
Will you both be watching the game on Saturday against Stanford?
Yes.
Absolutely.
definitely not.
Oh, hell yeah, definitely going to beat Stanford.
Oh yeah, my mom went to Stanford. I'm from the Bay Area, so I will definitely be watching that game for sure.
Yes, but on TV. But I'll be watching.
I would watch, but probably from home. I don't have the season pass.
Well, it's on TV. It's not.
Oh, it's at Stanford?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then, yeah, obviously on TV.
That's it for this week's edition of Man on the Street. I'm Mitchell Sanchez. Back to you guys at the desk.
Don't Google it, don't ask Siri, don't even use Bing. Instead, put your thinking caps on and flip the on switch on that brain of yours, because it is time for this week's trivia question. An essential part of being in a group or on a team is receiving a nickname. It's a rite of passage, it's a term of endearment, it shows that you belong. I happen to have a few Sports Mag nicknames myself. E-Dog, E-Fizzle, E-Sully, Solinator, Soul Fresh, Soul Clean, you get the point. But the CU football team is definitely no exception to the rule, and the players have some alternate names of their own. So for this week's trivia question, we want to know, what is Phillip Lindsay's nickname? And I'll tell you, it's definitely very fitting. We'll have that answer for you at the end of the show. And we'll reveal our two picks for this week's Athletes of the Week. One of them you can probably guess, and the next one you'll have to stick around to find out.
That's right, and two of our reporters took on some CU volleyball stars to see how they stack up on the court, and the results were pretty much what you'd expect. Stick around.
These words are all around campus, the Northern Quad, the Rec Center, the UMC, over by Farron Field, even in some res halls.
It's not just these words being repeated everywhere, it's really a description of the community and the people that you're going to be encountering in the next 4 years.
The creed is a value for the CU community. As a member of the Boulder community and the University of Colorado Boulder, I agree to
act with honor, integrity, and accountability in my interactions with students, faculty, staff, and neighbors.
To respect the rights of others and accept our differences. Contribute to the greater good of this community.
I will strive to uphold these principles in all aspects of my collegiate experience and beyond.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
Yeah,
but I don't know where to start.
That's why we're here. We're free, handsome.
I think we're breathtaking.
And here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that Bran? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together. Go to getschool.com for more info.
Everyone wonders how our Buffs make their magic happen on the volleyball court each week, and spoiler alert, it is not easy. Two of our reporters found this out the hard way. Cyrus Allen and Bobby Galen met up with some of the volleyball team's best. They've got a few pointers for them from the women and played a bit of a scrimmage and ultimately tested out the work ethic that the team puts in each day. They wanted to see if maybe, just maybe, they could match up.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Athletes vs. Reporters. This week we will be playing the volleyball team, and with us I have Jocelyn Hayes, one of the hardest hitters in the Pac-12, and Sierra Simpson, who is actually the all-time dig leader for CU. Those are going to be the volleyball players who we'll be playing against. For the reporters, we have Bobby Galen, who has no formal volleyball experience, and myself, Cyrus Allen, who is actually an intramural champion here at CU. You guys ready?
Born ready.
To start off, for the viewers at home who don't know, we're going to have them introduce us with some drills for the basics.
We both got tips from the players. I had Jocelyn help me with my approach to the net. At first, I had some trouble getting my technique right and hitting the ball at the right time. But by the end of my lesson, I made some solid contact. Cyrus had Sierra teaching him how to do a sprawled dig where you dive and try and get the ball. Like me, he had some trouble getting the technique down, and even after trying 4 or 5 times, I still don't think he got it. After our lessons, we took our skills to the court, but not without help. We managed to recruit Gabby Simpson to play with us, but it still didn't go very well. It wasn't going well for Team Sports Mag, but Gabby Simpson set us up for a comeback.
Nice. We just got done playing the volleyball players. I think we gave them a good run for their money. The stats might not show it, or the score, but I think we did well. Bobby, what'd you see out there?
You know what? I think we put our heart and hustle out there. I saw myself improving, got a few digs, got a few points, and we just really shut them down.
We got better out here.
We did.
You can catch all the players like Gabby, Sierra, and Jocelyn playing here tonight against Oregon State, where they play at 6 o'clock, and then again tomorrow against Oregon at 7 p.m. That's going to be all for us on this week's edition of Athletes vs. Reporters. I'm Cyrus.
And I'm Bobby.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Last Sunday, the volleyball team traveled to Seattle to face off against the 7th-ranked Washington Huskies. While senior Caitlin Cuff led the Buffs with 11 kills and junior Gabby Simpson had 10 of her own, it wouldn't be quite enough as Washington prevailed 3-0. CU fell to 11-7 overall and 3-5 in the Pac-12. While the Buffs sit 9th in the conference, there's a 7-way tie for second at 5-3, so the Buffs aren't too far down. They're back in action tonight at 6 against Oregon State at Coors.
The women's soccer team moved up one spot to number 22 in this week's National Soccer Coaches Association of America Top 25 poll. It is the highest ranking for the Buffaloes since being ranked number 20 on September 8, 2009. Last week, the Buffs were ranked number 23, which was the first national ranking in 7 years. The Buffs just ended their 10-match winning streak after a tough loss to number 3 Stanford on Thursday, the second longest in school history behind an 11-match winning streak in 2003. CU is also 6-1 in Pac-12 play, which marks the first time that the team has opened the conference play with 6 consecutive wins in school history. The Buffs will face number 10 on California on Sunday.
A big contributor to the soccer team's achievements this season comes from the goalie position. 4 matches into the season, Jalen Tompkins earned the starting spot for the Buffs and hasn't looked back. The redshirt freshman has a 12-2 record in goal with 60 saves this season, just under a 90% save percentage, and 6 shutouts, 4 of which have come during Pac-12 play. Throughout the Buffs' winning streak, Tompkins has allowed only 4 goals and has been named Pac-12 Goalkeeper of the Week twice this season.
Here at CU Sports Mag, we have selected 2 very special athletes who have shown their Buff spirit and made us proud. Our athletes of the week are Philip Lindsay and Christy Hodgkins. Lindsay, from our CU Buffs football, has rushed 26 times, gaining 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also became a member of CU's 500 out of 500 club and is only the 14th member to do so. Hodgkins, of women's golf, is an Australian who transported to Boulder. This week, she tied for 5th at 1 over at the Stanford Intercollegiate. This is her second time earning a straight record at 3 career collegiate tournaments.
Well, we have to take another quick break, but when we come back, the cross-country team continues to make big strides in competition.
And what's cooler than being cool? Ice cold. Alex Doyle is in the studio to highlight 3 CU hockey players that have brought the heat out to the rink. Put down the remote. Don't go anywhere.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible.
And then we're gonna turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Find me one. What's your reaction gonna be? Yeah! Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
Little tadpoles, frogs, spiders, this is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
The Buffs wrapped up their fall tennis team on Saturday, October 15th, where they played 3 singles matches in the back draw of the ITA Mountain Regional Championships. CU's Janez Daniel won against Taylor Carlton of Utah with a score of 2-6, 6-4, 1-0, 10-7 overall. The Buffs' Annabelle Andronopoulos and Kyra Wojcik lost their singles matches to Idaho State's Claire Yang and Utah's Victoria Robertson. The tennis team will follow up the season with a couple more weeks of practice, and they will open for spring practice in January of 2017. The team's head coach, Nicole Kinnelly, is satisfied with the work the Buffs put forward this season, but is anxious to get back to work for the spring season. Kinnelly says they now know what needs to be worked on and what they are doing well with.
Last Saturday, the cross-country teams ran in the NCAA pre-national meet. The second-ranked women's team ended up winning. Key performances were senior Erin Clark, junior Caitlin Benner, and sophomore Danny Jones, who finished 2nd, 12th, and 17th respectively. The 6th-ranked men's team finished 3rd in their race, with leading performances from sophomore Ryan Forsyth and redshirt freshman Joe Klecker. Forsyth is 15th and Klecker is 24th. The cross-country postseason starts October 28th.
The CU women's golf team finished in 14th place after their final round at Stanford was canceled last Sunday. The Stanford Golf Course in Palo Alto, California was hit with constant rain that resulted in a buildup of water, which forced the teams to cancel the final round of the Stanford Intercollegiate. Due to the cancellation, the scores Saturday counted as final, placing the previously ranked number 38 Buffs at 14th place. CU women's golf will wrap up their fall schedule with the Pac-12 preview in Kailua Kona, Hawaii, next Monday and Tuesday.
He can't skate, he can't aim, but he sure can talk to CU hockey players who skate the rink each week. Here to talk about the hockey team's growth, we have Sports Mag's Alex Doyle.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Buff Banter. While I can't aim a puck, I can actually skate pretty well. I'm Alex Doyle, here to discuss the club hockey team. Last year, the team finished their season earlier than expected, getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by Iowa State. The team were favorites to make it to the national championship game and possibly win the title. This year, the team started trying to improve on their season from last year, with most of the 2015-2016 squad returning for this season. The team started strong and won their first 5 games. During those 5 games, they scored 36 goals while only allowing 7 goals. In my mind, there have been 3 players who have been instrumental in the team's early success. Jake Bauer, the team's leading scorer, has 12 points, 8 goals, and 4 assists in the 11 games so far. The entire St. Bonaventure team has scored fewer goals than Bauer has points. If he scores 3 more points, either goals or assists, then his point total will be the same as the goal total of 3 other teams. The second player is Ben Hull, one of the few rookies on the team, and he's made his presence known early. So far, he's leading the team in 2 categories, most points in a game and most assists in a game. Both records came in the same game, September 15th against Missouri State. On the other end of the ice, Colin Champagne has been spectacular between the pipes, allowing 15 goals in 10 games. In the team's 5 home games, Champagne has only allowed 3 goals and has 3 shutouts, helping his team remain undefeated in Boulder. Champagne is the 6th-ranked goalie in the American Collegiate Hockey Association. Another key for the Buffs has been their special teams. On the power play, they are a respectable 19.4%. When killing penalties, they are fantastic. They've killed off 91.1% of their penalties. So far, the team has played 11 games. Of those 11 games, they've won 8 and lost 3. And one of those losses came at the hands of the defending national champions, Lindenwood College. The Buffs have this weekend off, but travel to Oklahoma to face off against the University of Oklahoma and Central Oklahoma University next weekend. The following weekend, it's Colorado State for 2 games. The first is in Fort Collins, November 3rd. November 4th, both teams head to Denver and the Pepsi Center for the Rocky Mountain Showdown. Well, that's all I have time for this week. I'm Alex Doyle. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Alex. With just 22 days until the season, the women's basketball team is slowly getting comfortable under J.R. Payne's system. Payne's top priority is installing a culture at CU that will result in her Buffs outworking every opponent they face this season. If they can do that, the Buffs will be ready to improve on last year's 7-23 record. Lauren Huggins and Kennedy Leonard accompanied Payne in San Francisco Thursday for Pac-12 Media Day, where the Conference of Champions welcomed Payne with open arms. The Buffs will have a pair of close preseason scrimmages before they open the season on November 11th at Northern Colorado.
We have to take one last break, but when we return, we'll have that answer to the trivia question.
Wow, is it hot in here, or is it just me? It's neither, actually. Christine Lambert is really cranking up the heat in the studio.
Rapid fire is coming. It's coming up with me after the break. Christine Lambert. See you then.
This isn't where you want to be. Don't use a fake ID.
They said I would be more focused. They said I'd get better grades. It's nothing like they told me. It's not what you expected. Don't abuse prescription drugs.
This house was almost saved from a fire that was almost put out by neighbors who almost volunteered. As generous a nation as we are, sometimes instead of giving, we almost give. But almost giving is the same as not giving at all.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a
One
dad
more
today.
time. Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
This week, our volleyball team is about to be showcased by our very own Christine Lambert. She has the latest on the games that you don't want to miss this week with this week's Rapid Fire.
Hey Buff fans, I'm Christine Lambert and welcome to this week's edition of the fastest segment on television. So buckle your seatbelts and hold on because it's time for Rapid Fire. Let's get started. First up is volleyball tonight at 6, then there's football tomorrow at 1, and then tomorrow night is volleyball again, but this time at 7, and soccer on Sunday is at 2. Okay, sorry, maybe that was a little bit too fast. I'll slow it down just a bit. So first up this weekend is volleyball, and that's going to be at 6 tonight at the Coors Event Center. The women's team will be playing Oregon State. Then starting Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m., the bus football team will be playing Stanford. This will be a good game, so you don't want to miss it, and make sure to tune into the Pac-12 network since it is an away game. Then later tomorrow evening, the volleyball team is playing Oregon State. The game will be starting at 7 p.m., so head down to the Coors Event Center and support the team and show some school spirit. And to close out the weekend of sports, the women's soccer team is playing Cal Berkeley. They're out in Northern California, so unfortunately many of you won't be able to actually attend the game. But feel free to keep up with the live stats online. And that's all the time we have for Rapid Fire today. I'm Christine Lambert. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Christine. Dun dun dun! We have the answer to our trivia question. Now, just as a refresher, we wanted to know, what is Philip Lindsay's nickname? And the answer is, drumroll please, the Tasmanian Devil. I think it's a combo of his hair and his stats and his personality. But in all seriousness, Taz is a very talented individual.
This week's Tweet of the Week comes from CU football commit Xavier Newman. He was originally set on going to the University of Texas, but decommitted to come and join the Buffalo Herd. After his commitment, he said he'd like to thank his coaches and parents for supporting him, and took his time with this decision. Scouts see promise in the 3-star recruit with his strength and foot speed. He plans to play inside guard and is the 4th offensive lineman to commit to CU. Steve, I know that we're supposed to take it one show at a time, but can I throw in a little shameless plug for next week's episode? Is that cool?
Yes, of course. Plug away.
So next week is our Halloween show, right? And you know what that means. Every person on the show, including the anchors, will be in costume.
That's right. It's going to be spooktacular, and you don't want to miss it. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode. I'm Steve Nelson. That's Aaron Sullivan. This is CU Sports Mag, and we'll see you next week.